We found out during the pandemic how important MyGov could be as people were logging on and trying to register for unemployment payments, among other things. The whole site crashed. It led to thousands of people in queues across the country and great unrest. So the system is set for an overhaul, albeit it was already in the middle of some improvements. Joining me live now is the Minister for Government Services and the NDIS, Bill Shorten. Thanks very much for your time. We've already had a relaunch of MyGov not long ago. It's also in the middle of a 2-year improvement program. You're having a user audit on top of this. There's a lot going on. Should you be sort of waiting for the first two things to play out before another review?
No, the Albanese government is a government that can walk and chew gum at the same time, Tom. We can do more than one thing. Before the last election, the Prime Minister and I in Perth announced a user experience audit of MyGov. So it's an election policy, so we're obligated to carry it out. At its heart, what we're doing is, along with the technical upgrades which are currently being worked on, is that we want to create a seamless experience for Australian citizens dealing with their government, a single point of access. This isn't a long review. I'm very grateful to David Thodey, a great Australian who's spent a lot of his time thinking about the Australian public service in recent years and how it should operate. I'm grateful for him chairing this review. What we want to do is see how we can work towards the ideal that as an Australian only has to go to one point to deal with the whole of government, and then rather than expect citizens to have to deal with different departments and different silos, through the MyGov app, you'd be able to deal across government because the app sorts it out rather than the citizen having to spend their time sorting out the different departments of government.
I'm sure a lot of people would welcome that. So you're talking about whether it's a form of welfare, whether it's Medicare, whether it's ATO, whether it's passport, whatever, go to the one app. Do you need a review? Don't you just need to figure out the best way or just get someone working on doing that right now? I mean, that's the idea. It's a pretty simple one. Why not just do it?
Government never goes wrong by talking to the people about what the people want. That's the hallmark of this government. That's how I've always operated in public life. And so why not get a group of experts to talk about and to discuss the consumer experience, to see what we need, what they want. See, our lives aren't organised in government departments. You, Tom Connell, don't have a Department of Health life, you don't have a tax life, you don't have a Centrelink life. What you do is you go to school, you go to university, perhaps you go to TAFE. You start a family, you may get sick on occasion, you have a job and you pay your taxes. What I want to see is digital government services and government services generally being in sync with your life rather than asking you to have to deal with machinery of government matters which were created in the late 19th century about different departments of state.
It seems though the big change is, as you alluded to there, bringing everything to the one point. So is that going to happen anyway, no matter what the user audit finds?
Well, it hasn't happened anyway yet, has it? You see how, for example, is that your plan to do that? You're going to go ahead with that regardless. That's no, sorry, I thought I'd said that. Yes, I think the ideal, and I think most people in the streets' ideal, would be, wouldn't it be good if when you had to deal with the federal government, you could just go to the MyGov website and it can direct you to where you've got to go, rather than a lot of the clunkiness which happens now. Wouldn't it be good if there was a digital wallet where you keep all your various federal government documents just as accessible in your digital wallet? So we need to also make sure that we don't genuflect or bow down before machines. The machines aren't always right. What we saw is a real smashing of the trust of people in government through the robo-debt debacle, where the previous government basically said the machine was right and that people complaining were wrong. We saw several sort of classic fails with various apps proposed by the previous government. So I do think we need to learn lessons. We've got to respect people's privacy. People want to control their own data. We've got to see what works. We've got to see what's world's best practice, who's doing it well elsewhere in the world. I mean, we may be an island, but other countries are dealing with some of this stuff far better than we are already. So nothing's inevitable, Tom. It's the future we choose to make for ourselves.
Just on robo-debt, though, as it's known, I mean, nothing you're doing now in this review changes whether that would happen or not. You're not going to use data matching in the same way, you say, so it won't happen. So this review doesn't stop robo-debt happening again. You just say you won't do that.
No, but it's, the link between this and that and other matters is a loss of trust by people in the system. Tom, you know, you even have as your guests people who rail against government and how it can't be trusted, but a lot of us in our daily lives encounter voters, constituents who are deeply distrustful of government. They worry about their data being hacked. They worry about what government does with data. So the common denominator is trust. In the case of robo-debt, there was negative trust, no trust. So this user survey, this user audit with preeminent Australians and experts is all about trying to improve or trust to reduce the trust deficit.
The crash that happened during COVID, if we had that same demand again tomorrow, would the crash happen again?
I don't believe so. Every experience provides a... Well, until it happens, I can't be 100%, can I? But no, I think if you're asking me, have lessons been learned since then? Yes, I think they do. We've always got to increase our ICT capacity. But the capacity of the system to take more and more inquiries is improving. So, yeah, I'm pretty certain to very confident that it wouldn't happen that way again. But, again, until such things happen, no one can ever give you a 100% guarantee, can they? Last person who did that, I think, was probably the shipbuilder on the Titanic.
Fair enough. How many times has MyGov crashed or gone offline, if you like, since that moment?
Oh, I couldn't tell you from way back then. I know that when there's pressure on the System Services Australia, who are very professional, keep me informed, but we haven't had something like that in my last 2.5 months since I became
So there's been
minister.
no total offline moment in your time as minister for MyGov, no crash?
No, I'd have to go and check, but none that I can recall, but I'd have to go and check.
But you just said you'd be told.
Certainly the amount of... this isn't a memory game. I said I'd go and check, but I think it's fair to say that in the last 2.5 months, a couple of very good examples of the system working well. One is we had the upgrade to MyGov over the weekend of the first weekend of September. I think after 1 million people logging on to use the system, there were about 10 complaints on social media, so that was a tick. Also, during the floods, getting payments out in the last couple of months and the pandemic leave, when that was reintroduced, all of that seemed to go very well. We've moved a lot more of government services online, and I think that is working better than worse for people, but still plenty of work to be done.
There's no shortage of stories about MyGov hell, so I'm sure people will be wishing that there is improvement. Minister, thanks for your time today.
Good on you, Tom. Thanks very much, mate.